Todo desafío comienza por un sueño.
I can't believe today has arrived. It's a very special day for me. Today is the first episode of my web show, and I cannot think of a better, more special guest to have on my first web show ever than the amazing, talented, courageous, brave Andrea Cardona. Andrea, welcome to my very first web show.
Thank you so much, Maru. It's such a pleasure to be here to see you. Where have you gotten and really see all your success? And I really hope that we're going to touch many lives today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Andrea. My purpose of hosting this show and for many, many episodes to come is to share with the viewers, share with the audiences, inspiring journeys like yours. So let me tell you all a little bit about Andrea Cardona. Andrea is the very first Central American female to ever summit Mount Everest. And she's the very first Latina to summit all 7 summits of the world, including both geographical poles. As if this wasn't enough, she also has an incredible book called Limitless, in Spanish, translates into Limitless. And she is leaving in 4 days from her native country, Guatemala, to go for an incredible, inspiring, very risky and adventurous world record. So, Andrea, do you want to start out by telling us what you're up to these days? What are you about to do?
Yeah, sure. I'm just, packing and being super excited because after 3 years waiting for this moment, I'm finally taking a flight and a very long one, two days at least. Yeah. And meeting with my team, working for 10 days up to Everest Base Camp, and then summiting Everest again. And from once you get to the top, you have 24 hours to be able to descend around 3,000 feet and then go up the mountain just next to Everest that is called Lhotse. And you have to ascend around 2,500 feet and then get to the top of the 4th highest mountain in the world. So very excited, like mentally I have been preparing because I remember how tired I was when I was coming back from Everest, that I couldn't think to do one step forward up. And this time I have still many hours to go. So excited.
Wow.
And
Yes. So let me start out by saying that I met Andrea in 2010 in Guatemala when I was there giving a series of talks, and we connected, and I could not let go of this, of wanting to become her friend and wanting to get to know her better. And she just keeps getting better and better and better. But Andrea, before we talk a little bit about this next expedition that is going to set a world record, yay! And yes, and we talk about anything else, I want to ask you, did you grow up knowing you wanted to climb mountains?
Not at all. I just remember dreaming about being an adventurer. I just want to travel the world. But, of course, as a little girl, just dreaming about being like Indiana Jones and just camping with my family around Guatemala. But I remember having, this big problem. I was asthmatic, and I remember just sometimes not playing and camping in my garden because I had to be in bed and just wait until I was able to play out again in the outdoors. So it was not really a dream that someone like me that was so like fragile could dream about. And this all happened then when I had the opportunity to win a scholarship to go to Italy and study tourism. I wanted a career where I could travel with. And after, graduating, I started working in the hotel industry. And I remember just not being happy because that was not my real dream, right? I was just in an office, 9 to 5, and doing something that I didn't like to. So I had a master plan at that time, and I just said, okay, I'm gonna save some money so I can go for a 6-month trip to Asia, backpacking and being an adventure, at least, for that time being, and afterwards just go back and continue with my career, whatever it is. I know that it's not easy just to travel around. So that's what I did. But what I didn't know back then is how that trip will just completely change my life.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Amazing. So tell us a little bit more about, because you just touched on something that us entrepreneurs and anyone that considers themselves a dreamer, a turning point. So it sounds to me like your turning point was that you were following this path of traveling and excuse me, let me back up for a second. So you went to Italy, you graduated, you got this amazing job, and you were supposed to be happy, but you found yourself realizing that you weren't happy, that that's not the life that you dreamt of when you were growing up. So you took off to Asia, and so you had a wake-up call. You realized at one point that you were living someone else's dream. And
That's
and so at that point you decided to save money. And was it scary to pick up and leave your New York job?
Or totally, and especially alone and for such a long time. So it definitely takes a lot of courage to make that first step, right? And then when you do this first step into your dreams, it's a leap of faith, right?
Right.
You don't know what is going to happen. The only thing you know that you are on the path of your dreams. But that's exactly when extraordinary things happen. And during that trip, I had the opportunity to find a job as an adventure guide. So I was able to then travel to so many countries and organize these trips and have this active, adventurous life, but in a sustainable way. Because, it was my job. I was learning so much. I was traveling. So I was the happiest person. I had like everything I wanted. But at the same time, it was not specifically my dream to be a guide all the time. I didn't study for that. But of course, that was the mean for me to learn a lot and then go forward on my journey. So what happened was that in 2007, I was invited to climb my first mountain. And that was Island Peak in Nepal, a peak of 6,200 meters. And I remember that I was like so inexperienced. I had no idea what I was going to do. I was just with a group. Everyone was older than me. So I just thought, okay, as long as they're moving upwards, I'll do the same. I remember going up and just feeling my hands and feet, so cold that they hurt. And that I was like sometimes asking myself, what am I doing here? But as, I continue with this ascent, and the time that we all got to the summit, it was so magical because I couldn't believe that I was able to do that. And it was exactly at sunrise time. So I just saw all the Himalayan mountains, and I was just feeling so proud and so like, oh my gosh, we are so much better than we think we are, that we just need to put ourselves in a situation where we can prove it and just do a little bit more than we think we can do.
Wow.
So that got me so excited that next time I took a group to Everest Base Camp, which was a trip that I led twice a year, I was like, oh, all right, I really love mountaineering. I climbed one mountain, but that that has adventure, has the challenge. I'm on the nature, I'm active, so I just love it. Do you think I could climb Everest? So back then, it was just the craziest idea. I had no experience whatsoever. I was just starting from zero, and I wanted to get to the top of the world.
Yeah, very natural. Same thing I would think. I'm climbing this little hill. Why don't I get to the tallest one in the world, the highest one? Yeah, very natural.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's a very crazy one. So I know a little bit about your story, and so you decided you decided that you were going to make that your goal, and it took you 2 years, right, to prepare?
Yeah, a little bit more. It was almost 3 years, including the expedition time.
Right. And so I wanted to talk about an experience you had 3 days into, if I'm getting the numbers right, but you had an experience 3 days into your 2.5 or 3 year training to prepare for Mount Everest. Tell us a little bit about that and what happened at the beginning of the road for you.
Yeah. Well, as you know, when we start anything, a new business idea, a startup, or a routine, exercise routine, whatever it is, the first step takes courage, right? Like, takes a lot of courage to just do, I'm going to do it. But even more to stay in the path long term. But now we're focusing on that starting point. And for me, it was a mountain in Bolivia where I was doing my climbing course. I was there for 15 days. And I remember climbing my very first mountain with this instructor. And I just remember being in this slope that was pretty steep. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to go up. And then he said, well, then let's start to go down. When I looked down, it was so steep as well that I was like, okay, I might as well continue. And I struggled so much going up. But finally, we made it. And as we were coming down, I was so tired because I gave all, last bit of energy that I had. And I was just going down by inertia, just like walking. And then without expecting, I stepped on a crevasse, on top of a crevasse that was covered on snow, and I just fall into this, dark hole, and I was just inside there, not knowing anything, like how to go up again. So the instructor just helped me out again, and I was in shock. Like, literally, I start walking, and then I stopped, and then I start crying, and then I said, I can't go any further. I'm not able to walk in this glacier anymore. I was so afraid. I panicked. So he just said, we have to continue. And it's like, no, what if there's going to be like other crevices in front that are covered that I'm not going to look, and then I'm going to fall, and I don't know what to do if I fall. So he said, well, that's why you're training. That's how you start. And that made me realize that when we start, we have the biggest challenges, and that fear, about when everything is new. And that's when you really are proved. And that's when things or life will really ask you, do you really, really, really want this? Wow. Are you really ready to go through this first moment of the challenge, of the training or whatever you're doing? So that's a very good opportunity to really ask yourself your real motivations. Why are you doing what you're doing? What moves you? What motivates you? What inspires you? Because it has to be so strong that you will be ready to overcome the initial phase of your project.
Right. So thank you for that. And I'm so glad that you pursued and you stayed on the path, even though you fell in a crevasse the third day of training. Speaking of motivation, and what is your big why that keeps you moving forward? What is your big why, Andrea? Because it's not an easy path that you're on. What is your big why? Why do you do this? That's one of the questions that I got a lot of people that they want to know from you.
I think when you are maybe in life, sometimes you have to face difficult things, and you have to decide either to be a victim of the situation or to transcend and to go forward and be stronger. And I guess, that comes even from far back. My parents got divorced when I was 15. Then we moved into a very beautiful place, but my stepfather was an alcoholic, and I just wanted to leave home. And I just had also the feeling that I had to take care of myself. That's why I asked them for the opportunity to study abroad. And when I was in Italy, learning another language and getting used to another culture, another weather, everything was so different. But there I was, studying, getting graduated, far away from my family, just really becoming a fighter. I was in a boot camp in a way, because I had to, it was either that or come back and be in a situation that I didn't like to. Mm-hmm. So for sure, life helped me to push me forward. Mm-hmm. And not have another option. I couldn't look back. And from there on, it was great just to have the other opportunities to take advantage from. But maybe also my personality, I really love challenges, because it has been amazing to see how far we can get. It's amazing. And that's why I love to share this experience so much, because that's the potential of every person. But we don't give ourselves that opportunity, right? Mm-hmm. So now, accomplishing this and accomplishing that, and Everest, and then 7 summits, but life goes on. So do we?
Yeah, absolutely. Can you tell me a little bit about being the first Central American female and being such a high achiever in a society, because I am from a third world country, so are you. So a little bit of the female athlete, right, role in society. And are there any misconceptions that you feel like you dealt with?
Well, definitely it was very difficult to just have credibility, for people to believe in my dream. I was just trying to involve other people, to this companies or whoever, to really give the recognition of the first female expedition on Everest. But it was so difficult, because they look at me and it's like, why do you want to do that? Or some other people, after I climbed from Everest, they said, we were so sure that you were not going to make it. And for sure, there is this thing that Everest is related with strength. And a woman in our culture is not necessarily, the strong, sex. So I had a lot of that. But even on the expeditions, I had really to prove myself double to be accepted, and for all these guys, because I was most of the time the only female, just to be regarded as part of the team, as part of the decision-making process. Most of the time, they wouldn't even call me to make decisions. So I had to step in. So I learned that most of the time, we're not going to be, they're not going to give us the space to just get in and be, but we have to look for that space. And that is also true, not only as a gender, but also when you're starting and you need to, create some credibility and, some path, so people can say, yeah, we can hear you. We're going to hear what you have to say. So yes, I think if I can say something, let's don't wait until that happens, but let's step forward and just, try to get involved and be proactive. That's the most important thing.
Well, yeah, because if you wait for the rest of the world to catch up to your dreams, or you wait for them to give you permission, you would probably be a teacher, or something. Well, so let me think about this. I want to talk a little bit about the obstacles that you've encountered. And we could sit here and talk 3 hours, right, about all the things that have happened that discouraged you, or that, scared you. And what do you think has been the biggest obstacle that you've encountered that has made you doubt the expeditions or this path?
Well, I think at the beginning, fear was a big part of it, because I was very fearful a lot about the cold, about the gear, about if I was going to be able to have enough breath to go up, about climbing during the night and the darkness and the avalanches and ice falls and crevasses and all that new world that I was facing. But I think as long as you are doing your homework, and that means that you are training, getting ready, doing your process right, then that journey is really very encouraging, because you know that you have that much time, 3 years in my case. You have 14 different peaks that I could train in to just live whatever I was going to live then on Everest. So obstacles, they are For instance, the changes, right? How to deal with change. We are climbing up to this hill and up to that summit, but then the weather turns so bad, and then you have to make another plan. You have to wait. You have to, develop a lot of patience. Suddenly, like, somebody will get sick, and then you can go forward. So the thing is that you can always get to the summit. You just need to be changing your plan in order to get to that summit.
Wow, that's powerful. That's a really powerful lesson. So it's staying flexible and adapting to the circumstances.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about your mental and your spiritual preparation? Because I remember one time I heard you speak and you said the physical strength will only get you so far. Can you tell us about that?
Exactly. And the mental training is so important because you really have to stay positive. And it's not easy when you are uncomfortable, very tired, sick, or whatever it can happen. But in your mind, you have to be there already. So I was really, really imagining myself on top of Everest. I was really like, oh my gosh, just imagining how the view would be and what would I do when I was going to be there. And just that thought was so real. Wow. That I was like, wow, I definitely just, I want to get ready for that moment. So that is very, very important. And sometimes we start something, but we don't really believe that we can get what we set ourselves to get. And yeah, we have to start the other way. Your mind gets there before you get.
Wow. Oh my gosh, I'm loving this. I want to write everything down and extract the quotes. Yeah, because I absolutely. And picturing yourself already there is such a key part of the journey, and one that we take for granted. Because we think, oh no, let me get all the ducks in a row. Let me prepare my body. Let me do this. But in reality, the body you can train, right?
Exactly.
But there's a time when even your mind, you have to step into the higher realm, right? The spiritual, where you're like, okay, why am I doing this?
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? I understood in the mountains more that our journey on this earth is very short. So we can really do something more with what we do that just, doing something, because we have a limited amount of time. And I think we all have the potential to live this place better than we found it. And we can, take even baby steps for that. But it's important for us to put that intention in whatever we do. So for Everest, I was, fighting so hard to get people to believe in my dream, to get into the expeditions and all that stuff, that I was like, wow, this have really taught me that it's not easy, that I have really to, show double the amount of strength or whatever I had or experience to be able to be on expeditions, that I really want to share this with other people, because we all need this little encouragements during the journey, that really dreams can become true. And I have that through my mom, through other people that really believe in me. And for me, this spiritual preparation is, with whatever we are doing, what can we do for others? How can we give back? How can we be useful? So, and that is so amazing, because when I was going towards the summit, I just remember how much I was tired. And when I really got to get scared was when I saw other bodies that were, left from other expeditions. And that's when you really think if all this is, worth it, that, why am I here? I'm risking my life. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But the other option will be not going towards your dreams and just live like a mediocre life, right? Just not giving your full potential. But at that time, when I was about to get to the summit, I was about to go back when I saw that. And then when I saw other people coming down because they were suffering of frostbites and stuff like that, and I was like, oh, okay, probably this is far too much for me. I should go back. But then when I thought all the process everything that was behind already with all this experience and all these lessons that allow me to be there and really showing that fight, like that spirit that led me all the way there. I thought, okay, this is because I'm not here just because of me. I'm probably here also because, other women in my country, in my region that have dreams and that they are not encouraged to do them. But maybe if they see that I can do this, they can also start believing that they can achieve so much more. So that is the...
Well, I'm definitely one of those that believes that you can achieve a lot more, and that through your example, I do believe that we can all give more and do more, and we have more potential. And I really admire the fact that you're really trying to maximize your potential and going for even higher and bigger challenges. And I'm just take my hat
and that's
off.
what you're doing. That's what you're doing, Maru.
I'm, in my own lane and in my own way, absolutely. And we all, we're not all climbers. And that's what I love about your work, that you talk a lot about your personal summit. It's not about Everest. What is your own Everest, right? It doesn't have to be the mountain. Exactly. So I have I would say the last two questions. One is about bouncing back, because clearly your journey, thankfully, you have so many good stories to share, so many lessons, but a lot of them came from obstacles, right? And from things not going the right way. So tell me about bouncing back. Talk to me about, how do you bounce back?
How do I bounce back? Okay, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to ask you, but to better explain me that question, because I really want to answer very good. And as you know, English is not my first language.
Sure. So I think of last year, you were at Everest during the worst avalanche ever, and your expedition got canceled, and it was a huge setback for everybody, especially for you, right? Yeah. How did you bounce back? How did you decide, I'm not letting go of my world record dream?
Well, this record has been a big journey, because I have been training for the last 3 years, and so many things have happened that 1 year I had to postpone it because I didn't have the time to really focus on it, and I was gonna be, I had to really train a lot, and I couldn't. Then the second year, that was last year, we have the most tragic season on Everest in history, and 18 people died on ice fall, and 3 of my Sherpas actually died. Wow. And the other 3, they saw how the other died, so they were completely traumatized. And when that happened, I remember my first thought was, well, I think this is it. This is not a joke, and I'm very sad of the loss of these people. A lot of children and families are now without an income because of this accident, and I felt terrible. We started to collaborate with a foundation, and to try to do some fundraising for the kids of the Sherpas. But yeah, I was quite moved and sad and so disappointed of everything that I was like, okay, this is it. I'm not coming back again. Mm-hmm. But then, especially my boyfriend made me reflect on this, because he said, the risk of the mountains, they have always been there. They are always there. So the fact that we were not on this, it means that we still have the opportunity to do something good, to do something positive. So that was the reason why we decided to then go back this season, because I feel that I can still give more and become better while doing this. Of course, it turns out that I'm a climber, and let's say like extreme climber, because I go to these high mountains and they all have those risks. Yeah. So life is about taking risks. So if you don't want to take risks, it's like, okay, you cannot really have a real life. So we better, have that in mind, and whatever it comes, we just have to do the best we can with that.
Well, thank you for wanting to take on this next challenge, right? And it's not even next, like you said, it's been 3 years in the making, but I really, 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 I'm so proud of you, because I know last year was not easy. And I'm so glad. I think that's the lesson that I want to bring across in what you just said, is that without support, it's really hard to bounce back from any setback, and you have the right support in your life. You have the people that believe in you, and you surround yourself by people that are going to present to you what's real, and what's really real here is not the fear, and it's not the tragic. It's the dream is very real. It's something that has been planted in you, and that you're going to go forward with it, right? And pretty soon I'm going to be interviewing you with what did you learn from this expedition? So Andrea, listen, any final thoughts on discipline? How do we keep ourselves motivated on our journey to our own Everest?
Well, the first step is defining that Everest, right? And that itself is not always easy. Yeah, you are presented with this situation of, okay, what exactly do I want to do? But it is really worth it to think about it, to really discover what's the real passion, because sometimes our real passions are not what is going to be approved by the external world, right?
Not popular, yeah.
It takes courage to define your own Everest, but even more to execute this idea that we're going to have, right? So it's very important to make a plan, of course. How am I going to make it? But the plan, even though it can be perfect, it is the day by day that will define everything. So I will say, after you define your Everest and then you made a plan, really make a commitment that no matter what happens and what will change, you are going to get there. And how? Just doing things right every single day. Each of your steps done right, really focus on the present. Because if you do things right every single day, you're for sure going to get where you set your mind in.
Yeah. So powerful. And I consider this time and this interview with you such a treasure and a privilege and an honor. And you're going to be in my thoughts for the next 2 months, because Andrea is leaving, like she said, in 3 days. She's leaving she's going back to Nepal, and she's going to make that trek to the base camp and then when do you start your ascent up to Everest?
We're getting to Everest Base Camp around the 14th April. So yeah, at that time we should start going up, do all the acclimatization progress, and hopefully by the end of May, we're going to go to the summit any day from the 20th to the 30th. So I'll keep you updated. Thank you so much, as always, for your support and friendship.
Of course.
And I wish you all the best also with all the amazing work that you're doing with people, changing lives, making people happy, and that's what we all need.
Amazing. How can people stay in touch with you? How can people follow your journey in this attempt of a world record?
I'm going to be on Facebook, so Andrea Cardona on Facebook, and Instagram, is all going to be the same name, and you can find those easily through my website, andreacardona.com. And I'm going to have a satellite and also a link where you can see in real time my on a GPS. So that will be pretty cool.
What? This is different from 2012 when you did that a few years ago. Okay, so I will be sure to keep everyone posted, and all your information will be included in the email that's sent out with this first episode of my web show. And everyone, and Andrea especially, prayers, positive thoughts, and you've already conquered both summits of Lhotse and Everest, and we're so proud of you. And I cannot wait to see your name in national TV here in the US and worldwide. And I can't wait to have you back in Texas speaking. So much love to you, my dear. And with that, you want to wave bye-bye to everyone?
Yay. Thank you so much, Maru, and to all the people that are looking, that you're taking care of, because we can all achieve our Everest. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Much love. Thank you, everyone.